do a survey now. How many of you like to work with government? Not a single hand. One hand, half hand. 1.5 hands, so 2 hands. Okay. Just 2 hands, 3 hands. So in the room 4. There are 31 NGOs, 5 hands are up. That means less than 1/6 of us want to work with government. So I'm going to embarrass you. Those of you who did not answer. What does it even mean to you? I'm sorry, I can't speak Malayalam. I'd love to speak Malayalam. But I was telling my Malayalam is only survival based. Vallam, Shukku Vallam, that's all I know. So I know nothing more than that. So you should pardon me for this. If Atma Foundation has been kind to give me 1 hour 30 minutes. Now if they think I'm going to talk for 1 hour 30 minutes, they are fools. If I think I can talk for 1 hour 30 minutes, I'm a bigger fool. And if you actually listen to me talking for 1 hour 30 minutes, you are the biggest fools. So you have to talk. If you are not talking, I'll just be walking, that's all. So what does government mean to you? Anybody? Yeah. Is there another mic which can be given? Or?
So maybe policy makers and implementers as well.
A great big thing. Policy makers, policy implementers, yeah. I think the lady there.
Lawmakers.
Lawmakers.
And
many times lawbreakers also?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? So we have 3 things. How is policy different from law? Because the lady there said policy makers and you said lawmakers. Are they the same or are they different? And how are they different?
There is a difference because we are making policies, but some policies are not implemented. So there is a difference. And law is implemented version. Like.
Okay. So let me clarify. Policy is just the statement, the intent and action of any public agency. Whereas law is passed by the legislature and it is binding. A policy is not binding. Policy is a statement of intent. You may convert it into a program and act. You may not act also. And this in India, most of us don't engage with government. Okay, now I'm going to ask another question. Which cricketer recently retired? Ashwin. How do we know that but we don't know government? Which is the latest, I checked this out, which is the most popular recent Malayalam movie?
Sorry, sir. Rega Chitram.
Why do we know this but we don't know how many days Parliament functioned? What percentage of time Parliament functioned recently? See, we don't know government but we criticize it. Because the favorite pastime of Indians is to talk about movies, cricket, politics and hate the government. I was also like you. I was no different from any of you. $53,000 crores. Not a small amount. And so what should, if we ask government, what do you think of NGOs? What do you think their answer will be now?
The question, please,
If I ask the government officers, what do you think of NGOs?
they will be saying it is more corrupted than government.
Right? So are we more corrupt? We are? Okay. Here one person believes we are. Anybody else has got any ideas? I don't know if we are more corrupt, but I know we are inefficient. Corruption is also, inefficiency is also, can be called as one kind of corruption. Why I say this is because we don't like to be questioned, but we like to question. We would like to go to the local Tashildar and fight and say, we'll question him. We'll question the local police when they take 5 rupees. But when we waste public money 5 rupees, if somebody asks us, we don't like it. Hey, I'm doing good. What do you mean you're asking me questions? मुझे तो मालूम है क्या करना चाहिए, मैं कर रहा हूँ. We don't like to be questioned, but we want to question. Is that fair? You don't think so? Good. So now I'll come back to NGOs itself. Come on, I think when Suresh invited me, I thought Kerala is the most enlightened state, and so we'll have an excellent discussion. But looks like all of you are so silent that you either hate me and don't want to talk to me, or you have decided not to be a Keralite today. Because this is the most literate state in the country, the most aware state in the country, and you are all the people who are constantly, and the most political state in the country. Politics not from electoral politics, because you engage with people's problems, you understand issues, you engage with politics and policy, and you hold people accountable. But today I don't see that energy. Now the energy is coming.
The topmost problem for any NGO is difficulty to raise funds, according to the complaints laid down by the government. Second problem is lack of professionalism in management.
Perfect.
And many companies are failing because of financial management. Third problem is absence of getting the right persons to work, the workforce or HR resources, professional resources, particularly some of the students who have come here, MSW or special field, professional field. That is very difficult because most of the youngsters are going for higher, more IT sector or more remunerative sectors rather than NGOs. So these are the top 3 problems I mentioned.
So money.
And the fourth one could be lack of technology adoption in NGOs, which is creating big problems in compliance, big problems in growth and development of the organization.
Wonderful.
And the fifth one, which I feel, is lack of networking and looking at these NGOs in a suspicious manner, even when they do the work properly. And there are many black sheeps also in the NGOs.
Excellent. So 5 major ones you said. Anybody wants to add to that list? Anything he might have left out? I'm sorry, your name, sir. Jairaman said 5 names. 5 issues. Anything else you want to add to this in your experience? Yeah, the lady there. Can you please tell your name also so we'll know who you are?
So my name is Anjana. I'm a Seva International Fellow and Atma volunteer. So according to this Social Impact Conclave, we conduct a NGO survey based on 7,000 NGOs registered under Darpan portal in Kerala. So we collected data from there and we just put email regarding their problems to know about the challenges and problems. According to that, we conduct a Google form. What is your, the name of the organization? Some questions are there, basic questions. So we received very less response. In 7,000 NGOs, we received very less NGOs, and then we started to call them. So we get the some of the response that they know their challenges. That is the first thing. They said that we don't have any kind of problems, and they are not able to identify their problems. That is one. And another thing, they didn't get government support. That is another thing. And then we get the response that they didn't get employees for work. And that is the major response we got.
Thank you. So my view to add to what Jairaman said is I like acronyms, or I like some nice way to remember. And last time I came, yeah, Sindhuji wants to say something.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to add 2 points to it. NGOs feel that if we are doing good work, money should automatically come. We shouldn't ask for it. So asking for support is a major issue, which leads to many of the 5 problems that the other person mentioned. Another thing is that we should be doing it voluntarily. We don't have to even ask for money for it. We should serve it with no intention to get any kind of remuneration for that. And that also leads to ask for their survival, their mere survival. Forget about performing later, mere survival ke liye bhi they don't want to ask money. So these are some basic things I feel.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to add up everything that was said now, and I call them the 7 or 8 C challenge, the challenges that NGOs face today. The first major challenges are credibility itself. Right? We are all struggling to establish credibility. How do we communicate our credibility, and how do we say we are good, first of all? Because like you said, they are black sheep. One black sheep, they will say, Pura NGO secretary aisa hai. No, they'll immediately paint the whole thing. You have one corrupt government officer. We'll never say that officer is corrupt. We'll say government is corrupt. That is normal. That's the human tendency. Similarly, one NGO is not doing good work, the government also will say all NGOs are like that, sir. So we are all stuck in this generalization problem. Other problem in credibility is, if I ask you, what is your expert area? If you go to Maruti Suzuki and say, please make a scooter from tomorrow, it's also an automobile. Can Maruti make it? They can make it after some investment of training, from plant change, and then do a market survey, and then possibly after 3-4 years they can make it. But tomorrow morning you're experts in making cars, you are the country's largest car manufacturer. From tomorrow, it is not difficult. You are making cars with 4 tires. This is 2-wheeler with 2 tires. You can do it. Will they be able to do it from tomorrow? No answer? They will not, right? But our NGOs, we are experts. Today we are health experts. Tomorrow morning our funding will be education. Then immediately we are doing education project. 4 days later somebody will come and say, Western Ghat protection. Wayanad is full of problems of Western Ghat, so we must work in Western Ghats. I will give you money for Western Ghats. Then we become experts in Western Ghats. So we have become such experts based on the donor rather than based on our expert area. So we have never gone deep, we go wide, without knowing that we are not good in anything. And we don't recognize that we are not good because we are doing good. Or who else will do? If you don't take money, somebody else will take it and do the same thing. So we have that credibility problem. Credibility comes only when you are seen as an expert, not when you are seen as a contractor of government. Most of us want to be contractors of government. Agar program scheme has been finalized, I take their money, government is unable to do it, so we do it. So for credibility to come, from now onwards, my request to all our civil society friends, Parvati was very nice when she said, I come from civil society space. She didn't say I come from NGO. Because first of all, I think what takes away our credibility is the word NGO. Why do I say that? If I look at Jairaman and say, are you a man? He says, no, I'm not a woman. So Jairam cannot define himself by what he is not. He should define himself by what he is. We are voluntary civil service organizations, civil society organizations. We are not government. Because government does not know how to define us, the best way to define us is saying, I am not you, so you are not me. So you are not government. Because the responsibility of social change and social development is the state, is the government. And because you are doing it, they want to distinguish between what government does and what you are doing, and therefore they'll tell you, you are not me. So from today, I think we should proudly say what we are, not what we are not. How many of you agree with me on this? When you agree with me, clap. Not for me, for the concept. Because we should set a new trend of creating a new credibility for us. Our credibility is not that we are not government, we are somebody special. But first, we must have faith in it, we must have pride in it. Problem is, we are always feeling inferior. That's also part of the credibility challenge. The second challenge, and like Jayaraman said, is the cash challenge. We are always not having money. And like Sindhu said, we think that if we do good work, money will chase us. I can tell you, money will chase you, but it may not chase you fast enough for all the good work you can do. You'll survive. And we get into survival mode. That is why we take projects from everywhere. So mission creep is a big challenge for NGOs. So from now on, I'm going to use the word, I wanted to start off with NGOs so that you understand the forum of that, but from now on I'm going to say CSOs, if you all agree with that. We are all civil society organizations. It is not semantics, it is more than semantics. It is the credibility of the sector itself. So cash is a problem. Now nothing can happen without money. Somehow society thinks, if you are working in NGO, I can pay you less. You're a CSO, you come voluntarily. Why do you want salary? You should work without salary. Am I correct? That is why you students don't want to do MSW. They come to MSW not because they are passionate. Some of you might be in this audience. Many of you come because you didn't get engineering or medicine. Or whatever. Many of them, I talk to them. I go to a lot of important institutions. I'm finding the percentage coming down who are wanting to be a social worker, who want to bring about change. So if credibility grows, then more young students will come into that sector. Why are people taking IT today? Why are they getting into software? Because the credibility of software industry is very high. It is there in everything we do. But society is also there in everything we do. Social change is a lived experience. And for that, we must start paying also well. If a software engineer can get 1 lakh rupees, if I start paying my employees 1 lakh, my donor will say, 1 lakh? Why do you want to pay 1 lakh for this post? I remember a very large organization was funding us. A proposal I sent, I said field worker, those days 15,000 was a very big amount. Project director was 20,000 salary. Field workers, I said community facilitators, 15,000. I'm talking of 20 years ago. That donor agency said, what nonsense. Project director, I can understand, he's a doctor, we will give 20,000. But field worker is only from the community. Some of them are 7th standard, some of them are 10th standard, some of them may be a degree holder, I don't know. Because we don't select for degrees. We used to select for communication and passion and commitment to communities. That was all the selection criteria we had. They said, why should you pay a field worker 15,000? And I asked them one question. What is the rent you pay for your office in Delhi? At that time, they were paying 2 lakhs a month. I asked that program managers, they are not in director of the institution in India, the program manager, what is your salary? That person very sheepishly said, sir, I can't say. I said, why can't you say? Because you want to know everything about me. I must give all the certificates. I must give all the salaries of everybody. I must give Aadhaar number, PAN number, everything. But why won't you give me? I want to know where your money is coming also to give to me. So no, sir, that we cannot say. Why can't you say? You want civil society organizations to be transparent, but you are not wanting to be transparent. How fair is it? Because we don't challenge them, because we are like this. Bhavati bhikshan dehi. And so whatever they give, we'll take. I think if you are really proud of being a civil society organization, we are doing what nobody else can do. More than we needing money, they need good organization for their money to be used properly. So shift your thinking. It is not about we needing them. They need us. The moment, it's not arrogance. The moment you believe that strongly, their attitude towards you will change. That person was getting paid 1.2 lakhs then, which is nearly 8 times my field workers. But I asked her one question. I want you to do one thing. I will pay them 2,000 rupees. She suggested 2,000 rupees. I said, I'll give 2,000 rupees. 1 week, you must live shadowing my field worker. No money, no toothbrush, no toothpaste, no bus charge, no jeep for you to travel in, walking in the forest with tribals, with wild animals. After that, I'll give 2,000 rupees. But you must live 1 week. Second day, she called me and said from somebody's phone, those days there's no cell phone, the post office, and said, now I understand, I will give whatever you ask, please leave me to go back to Delhi. I am not giving this as my example, I am telling you this because we should not be demanding of asking for cash, because if you are confident of spending it properly, and put it, if you give peanuts, you will only get monkeys. So if you give 2,000 rupees, you will get somebody who will work 20 minutes a day. You want somebody to be passionate. Go to the community whenever they need the work done. Morning 7 o'clock also my field worker will be there. Night 11 o'clock also she'll be sitting in the self-help group meeting. She also is a mother. She also has got children. She also has to worry about cooking. It's not as though only we have to run a family, but her commitment is to community. And if you cannot treat it with respect and give the respect through money that she deserves, you will not get good people. You will only get ordinary people. So if we have to build credibility, we have to sort out the cash challenge. And for that, only if cash challenge is solved, we can solve the competence challenge. The third C. You have cash, you can get good competence. And that is when you will become professional. Professionalism is not MSW qualification. Professionalism is learning to work efficiently and effectively for the work you have taken up without any supervision. Our country, we have to supervise everything. As students, some of you, your parents must keep telling you, are you studying, are you studying, are you studying? If you can do unsupervised work in the role that you have to play, that is professionalism. Whatever roles we do, today morning, if I am going to the temple to pray, that's a role. The dharma of that role is I must follow the rules of the role, remove my shirt, my banyan. The latest controversy in Kerala I am seeing, unwanted. Whatever the rules are there for that role, I must follow. If I am working in government, if I remove my shirt and banyan, what do you think will happen to me? In Delhi, they'll admit me to a mental hospital. That's a different role. There I am the member of the commission. Here I am a devotee going to the God. I follow the rules of that ecosystem. So professionalism means playing the dharma of that particular role efficiently and effectively, not a qualification. The world is shifting today. The world is not recruiting for qualifications anymore. The world is recruiting for skills. The problem for the NGO sector is we don't have formal training for skills. We expected to learn on the job. So credibility can come when we solve these problems. Cash, competence. Next problem for us is competition problem. I am working in Trishur and next year Jairaman also comes to work in Trishur. How can he come here? This is my place. So I must make sure he will fail. So I must trouble him. I cannot allow him to succeed. Why? This is my territory, like dogs marking territory. We also want to mark our territory. But we will say, government programs, there should be convergence. We are very experts in talking. Convergence of government programs. One ministry does not know what other ministry is doing. Why are these people not talking to each other? How many of us in this room will actually talk to each other? 7,000 organizations invited, 2,000 respond, 31 come. Because we know everything. What is there to learn? Because we compete with each other. The next C is collaborative challenge. We don't know how to collaborate. If I am an expert in education and they are experts in healthcare and my community needs both, community work cannot be driven by my ability to deliver. Community work should be driven by their needs. And if their need is health care, I will go to a health NGO and invite them. Why should I feel threatened and insecure by somebody else coming there? But we are like that. No, I will learn how to do healthcare work myself. And I will waste precious resources. That's also corruption. Corruption is not somebody taking money. Not using public resources efficiently is also one kind of corruption. And that can be solved if you can call an expert organization in the other sector also to come and work with you. And the other problem, I have also been like that. I have actually sued the government. I have been beaten up. I have been arrested. The government has thrown me to jail also. When you fight for tribal rights, everything will happen to you. We can't be afraid of all that. But then I realized my entire activism was confrontational activism. I will always say he is useless and I'll fight with him. I did not know how to do advocacy. That is why I started GRAM. I realized that just because we don't know how to do it, we'll blame the others. Oh, corporates are useless. Government is inefficient. I can do everything myself. So we are all becoming experts in supplanting the government. Sarkar bhi chahiye hame. We can do everything. That is why you don't know anything about government. I can tell you, we can never replace government. Nowhere in the world can you replace government. Government is the most permanent, perpetual entity to take care of social change. Whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, we have to learn to work with government. So learning to work with government is a requirement for organizations like ours. Not blaming the government. So we have to learn not confrontational advocacy, we have to learn collaborative advocacy. How can I teach government? If your child does not know how to eat properly with the right hand, what will the mother do? Tomorrow you will all be young mothers. Your child does not know how to eat properly with the right hand. It puts it here, puts it here, puts it here. What will you do? If you can't talk here, you will never talk to government. I know you are not a mother, but when you become a mother, it's on. Malayalam, you can tell in Malayalam also. If your 2-year-old baby does not know how to eat on its own, and you are a young mother, what will you do? You will ask the next neighbor. You will do something, right? Tell me what you will do.
അവരെ വഴക്ക് പറയും.
You will teach him.
Teach him.
Okay, very good. So you will teach him. Similarly, if government does not know how to work with you, why do you blame them? Why don't you teach them? Why do we imagine government knows everything? Maybe the government official does not know enough. So working with government also means educating government. As much as government should be educated about civil society organizations, we should educate ourselves about working with government. For that, you must know government. And today morning, I recognize a state which is extremely active in the policy space, in the space of people participation, a state which has had so many models. Your Kutumbashri model is a globally known model of community engagement. Your models of science education, the Shastra Parishad, which has done so much of work, your model of literacy is all a global model. But it is a tragedy that organizations which will do all that does not even know the government enough. So I think working with government starts from knowing government. How does your panchayat operate? How does your state operate? What is the state budget? When will the budget come out? Who is responsible for which ministry? Where should I demand accountability? How do I question? What role has got the district magistrate? What is the role of the chief election officer in the state? We don't know all these questions. We'll criticize. So if you want to bring about social change, understand society. Society is Samaj, Sarkar, Bazaar. Government, civil society organizations and citizens, and private sector. All of us are necessary to bring about change. We cannot be arrogant to say we are the only change makers. We always say we are social change makers. No, everybody is a social change maker. Let us learn to work with everybody. So we have now spoken about credibility, cash, competence, competition, collaboration. The other problem is the credit problem. When we do work, we take money from government, we will do work and say, I did it, I did it, I did it. We'll give a press release, we'll call the media, we'll write about it. We'll never say, I did it together with government, or I did it together with the community, or I did it together with my donor agency. We'll always want to take credit. I think credit becomes celebratory only when you share it. Giving credit is not a sin. We have some resources. Our resources are commitment, passion. Our resources are community connect. Somebody gives cash resource. Together we work. So we bring about change together with each other, not on our own. So let's not worry about giving credit. And the last C I want to say is the criticism challenge. We don't like criticism. We are all heroes. We are God's own country, Kerala. And in civil society organizations are God's own organizations. We don't like anybody telling we are not doing good. We don't want to be measured. So I actually came. It is very difficult for me to come today. I came not only because of the love and affection Suresh shows, but also for the title, Social Impact. Social impact is about demonstrating credibly to our critics that we are doing good work. Measuring what we do is the only way we can tell the world we manage it professionally, efficiently and effectively. If you don't do social impact, you cannot ask government, out of every 100 rupees you spend, government says 85 rupees is spent on itself, only 15 rupees comes to community. What right have you got if you cannot tell me, after every 100 rupee donation you get, how much money is actually spent on the community? I can ask this question, what is your overhead cost? The overhead cost of international organizations like UN or UNICEF is 60%. Some very large global NGOs are 40 to 50%. Anything more than 15% in India is a crime. If you cannot run your organization efficiently with less than 15% overhead, including salaries, including all the administrative overhead, you cannot justify your efficiency at all. But you don't even measure, you don't even know how much you spend. It is not just a balance sheet. It is a critical oversight of your own expenses with clear definitions and accounting standards that you have. And then looking at what the change you brought and seeing the return on investment. If you're not willing to do that, you're not professional. Professionalism is all this. How do you, and it's all trainable. If you cannot show a product that is scalable, that is demonstrable, and that is measurable, then you are not willing to be open for scrutiny. You may not be all this, but how do you know if you're not scrutinized? So it's our responsibility. Transparency is not just the willingness, but allowing yourself to be measured, allowing yourselves to be asked whether you can demonstrate it, demonstrate change, not just talk about change. Now, we all have learned how to write nice proposals. We all have learned how to write nice reports. But have we learned to prove association of our work with change? We don't have to prove causality, but we have to prove correlation. Because Atma is doing this, people are able to get educated in the Gurukula. Now, running a Gurukula is not progress, that is reporting. But showing that what happens if the Gurukula did not exist, the counterfactual measurement. What happens if Atma Foundation does not exist? What is the loss to the community of Trishur? That is measurement. Are we ready? What will happen if government is not there? There will be no law and order. There will be anarchy. There will be no revenue generation measures. There will be no welfare. There will be no rules and regulations. There will be no policies. There will be no direction. There will be no country at all. Can we say that if my CSO does not exist, what will happen in society? Sometimes the answer will be nothing will happen. Then you don't deserve to exist. You better shut it down. You must get the answer. Without me, these four things will not happen in the community.
Sir, in this context, I would like to mention one thing. I am representing Nischinda, an organization formed by the parents, for the parents, of the parents, for rehabilitation of mentally challenged children. And this organization is facing a difficulty in the sense, not for the money I am talking about, but we believe that, you said rightly, when the CSO is not in existence, what will happen to the society? So after the life of the parents, who will take care of this mentally challenged, independent, not independent, but dependent adults? So therefore, all the parents are worried. Before we die, let the child die, so that there is no burden to the society and the child does not become an orphan, with the money or without money. The parents are willing to leave some wealth for taking care of them, but there is no institutional setup. So we are believing that this organization is lessening the burden of the government, which otherwise will come to the government. All that they will do is put these children to the orphanage as orphans. If at all they have, it's a crowded place, not even a dormitory of a reasonable and decent, dignified setup, but like an animal kind of thing, where they will be in a very miserable and undignified way of life they will live. Most of the orphans run by the government, we know what is the condition is, because they say we don't have money. So the parents formed this society, but in the absence of this Nischinta, is it not going to be a big problem in the society when such parents are no more and the children are left with nothing to support? So are we not doing really a CSO service, and is this organization is not essentially required and to be supported by the... So many people are doubting, even the members who have joined, are we really a charitable institution? The definition of charity is also narrow-minded way. They have started looking at that. Being a part of head of the social stock exchange, perhaps you can enlighten this.
See, I think anything that impacts society, I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm only saying what I believe. So there's a difference. You may not agree with me. It may not be correct. I, first of all, disagree that only CSO should bring about social change. I think any society is a collective responsibility. Societal good is a collective responsibility. We need everybody to participate. Just because one organization sets up an excellent facility to take care of its children, in this case the community itself, the affected community parents, doesn't mean they should be the only ones managing it. Definitely they need support from the state, they need support from private sector, etc. And there are some activities which by definition are for people who cannot take care of themselves. They are below the social safety net. It is much more important to government to have a catalyzing lead role there. People above the social safety net are also people who need support. Today, mental health at any given point of time, 15 to 20% of the population has a mental health problem. In this room of maybe 100 to 150 people, if you take a statistic, if I do a real mental health assessment, possibly 35 people will have a mental health challenge right now. Whose responsibility is to take care of them? It is not the mental hospital. It's a collective societal thing. Similarly, I believe that all of us should find solutions. And certain things will look charitable, but that's also social change. Because the child having a dignified life till it lives, whether its parent is alive or not, it should have a dignified life till it is alive, is a collective responsibility. Initial phase parents can take care. After the parent passes away, some institutional mechanism, either the state funded or somebody else. So I would strongly tell your trustees and parents that what they are doing is not for their child. What they are doing is a way of telling the world society is alive. And society is also responsible. That's my way of looking at it. So let me continue. All these are the problems we said, but what is the future of the non-profit sector itself? I'm using the word not-for-profit now, because we don't exist for profit. The problem with our civil society organizations is we are afraid to generate profits. The word profit is a hated word in the sector. The moment you charge, we will say, oh, you're not a not-for-profit organization, you're charging. Remember, not-for-profit definition and non-profit definition are different. A non-profit organization will never generate any kind of a profit in its work A not-for-profit organization is not primarily set up for generating profits. The primacy is social change, but a profit that is generated is not shared by any promoter, but it is plowed back into the organizational objectives. If I run a hospital, we run a large 100-bedded hospital, nothing in the hospital is free as a policy. When I went in 40 years ago, I would give medicines. Then only for tribals I would take care. Tribals will take medicines, go home, keep it in that attic. Once in a while they'll take tablets, otherwise it is there. So I would go to their houses, I'd ask, why have you kept my tablets there? They said, sir, you gave free. In Kannada they say, idal power illa. This medicine doesn't have any power. Why? Because you gave free. So then I started charging non-tribals who came to the hospital. The non-tribals started taking medicine. My tribals were still not taking, because I thought they'll see them taking the same medicine, they will agree to it. Now the tribals told me, you have two kinds of medicines. One medicines with power, one medicines without power. Medicines without power is sawdust or chalk. You give to tribals, that's why you don't take money. Non-tribals, because they are very intelligent people, you take money and give them the proper medicine. So our community actually doesn't appreciate free. They equate money to quality. If I am a doctor and if I charge 1,000 rupees a consultation, I am very good. Whereas she will only charge 200 rupees. Hey, 200 rupees, she must not be so good. I must be 5 times better than her because I am charging 5,000 more. All of you are part of the same society. We all think like that. So I think a not-for-profit culture is also something our organization should learn. We are not here to exploit society, but we are here to sustain our activity. So sustainability is not a paragraph you write in a proposal. Sustainability should be a DNA of the organization. Let me clarify 2-3 important things. If you are not going to be doing the next 10 years, most of you will disappear. The world is changing very fast. Today, as I am talking, somebody is tweeting, Dr. Balu is saying this. Somebody is criticizing me. What I said, nobody bothers. They will write what they have understood as what I said. But the whole world will only understand that. You will say, sometimes you will say, you are not government. Then he will say, Dr. Balu said he is not government. Tomorrow morning my job will go. Because we all write what we understand. So in the world of social media, you are under constant observation. My own tribals, when I go to the colonies, somebody is the cell phone watching me like this. Everything I am talking next morning becomes a tweet. It becomes an Instagram reel. Whatever it is worth, something to keep putting up there. And that becomes, even if it is 5-second engagement, it takes away mind space. So we are not ready to understand all that. So if you are not willing to be technology ready, you may not exist soon. Technology is not just social media. Technology is highly professional computerized accounting standards. We have to have, like the organization which I started, our organization today runs itself on SAP. SAP is considered to be a productivity tool for industry, but why should only industry use it? We worked with SAP. They learned from us. We converted the whole thing into running an organization efficiently. My field worker going anywhere from morning to evening is geotagged. Sitting in the office, my HR will know how many hours that person worked. We don't have to supervise. We'll know exactly where she was sitting for 2-3 hours because she's doing a self-help group meeting. We should presume that, and the report should align to that. We can create, using ChatGPT today, we can create so many powerful tools using AI which can analyze reports to actually say whether there's working in reporting or writing in reporting. Today we should use all that. That is why our overheads are 4%. We can all do that provided you use technology efficiently. And if you don't use technology, you cannot deliver on the kind of demands donors and organizations are making. CSR demands are very high. And therefore we say we will not take CSR. We want CSR rules to change to suit our convenience. It will never happen. We have to change to respond to the rules coming up. So compliance is also one challenge. I didn't speak about it because there are so many acts that we have to follow. As a hospital, I have to comply to 28 different laws, from pollution control to electrical inspection to X-ray visits to wastewater management to something else. I have to keep complying. There's no choice. Hazardous waste I have to manage properly because I'm running a hospital. I cannot complain. Why are you asking an NGO to follow all that? If you're running a hospital, you better follow all that. You're setting a standard. Then close your hospital, no problem. What I can complain is, are you enforcing this on everybody? Are you asking the government hospital also to follow it? Or if the government, if you say only 30 children can sit in my class, in a classroom, is a government classroom also should have only 30 children. You can't have 40 there. That I should fight. Not say change the rule for me to make it 40, but say if 30 is a standard, even government should follow the standard. That we should ask. So technology is something we have to learn. The most pressing problem I have seen to build credibility is this separating governance from management. Lot of NGOs send me WhatsApp messages. NSE is not registering our application. There are too many forms that we have to fill up. Why should I declare all this information? Why shouldn't we? If you are running with public money, why shouldn't you tell the public what you are? Is your wife also the board member? Is your son also the board member? You should declare. Today we have a situation where NGOs are given us dowries. My daughter gets married, my son-in-law inherits my non-profit. I'm not exaggerating. This happens in India. I don't want to name the state. Everybody is related. Then what kind of decision making will happen in the organization? The founder is permanently till he dies. Luckily, I stepped down 10 years ago. Otherwise, we don't want to let go. It's as though it's my property. It has to be professionally managed, means you need a professional board to oversee. Board that demands governance. If a corporate entity has a professional board, a not-for-profit also should have a professional board. Management is a specific function. The CEO is separate from the chairman or president. Chairman or president is for the board. CEO is for operational head. He is the chief executive. We don't separate at all. Why should we do all that? If you don't do it, you don't deserve to exist. As simple as that. If you want to demonstrate compliance, corporate should demonstrate compliance. Why not we demonstrate compliance? We should also, if you want to exist as a legal entity, the laws of the land should be followed. You don't like the law, lobby with parliament to change it. But if the law exists, follow it. We all criticize FCRA. FCRA is, why are we worried about FCRA? Only 16,000 organizations are there in FCRA. The top 100 organizations get 80% of the FCRA funds anyway. So you are one of the smaller ones maybe, or you're not even there. That is not the channel of funding for us. Hardly anything comes from that. Our CSR budget is 26,000 crores this year. Just imagine. And if you're not taking CSR money, saying CSR means corporate affairs, you are a fool. Corporate affairs is there to ensure the corporate spends 2%. Corporate will have its own mechanism to ensure how you spend the 2%. It is not corporate affairs problem. So don't simply say I am allergic to government, therefore I will not touch government. You change your allergy, take anti-allergy medicine, learn about the government properly. You have to understand it and say I will use money, because if you don't, 26,000 crore rupees is going to get wasted. Because there is no other way they can spend it. How are corporates spending it? Nobody is taking it. So end of the year, March 25th, the CFO will come to the board and say, we have 200 crores unspent. Oh, give it to Chief Minister Relief Fund. Give it to PM's Relief Fund. Give it to Namami Gange project. Give it off to some, I'm not saying those projects are not good or not important. But those projects are government projects. Government will anyway find the money. CSR money is supposed to come to implementing organizations like us. If you don't take, what else will that CFO do? He will simply find the easy path and give it to somebody which is easy. He does not worry. Give it to PM Cares. My job is done. No questions asked. Receipt is issued immediately. Expenditure shown. But that will not bring in social change through you. It will bring it through another mechanism. So we have to keep in mind that if you don't separate governance from management and demonstrate it as per the law, then you don't deserve support of the legal processes that are there. The last is, please remember, we talk about protecting social protection of communities. Are we socially protecting our employees? Are we giving them proper salary, proper facilities, proper medical care assistance, proper support? I have seen so many civil society organization employees, they have a death in their family, they have a sickness in their family, they are finished. There's no support mechanism for them. Why should we not take care of our own people first? What is wrong? Why are we want to take care of community, but we don't worry about our people? So do you have a HR manual? Do you have an accounting manual? Organizing ourselves with all these tools is professionalism. But for that, the DNA should change. The DNA should go away from no questions asked, no answers given. 2, you can ask me any question because I am ready with the correct answer. We have to grow and evolve. So whether it is governance, whether it is management, whether it's technology deployment, or whether it is solutions to the challenges that we are facing, the next important thing is how are we communicating? In America, which has got the world's highest number of organizations, they do this much, they will talk this much. Some of our good organizations do this much, they are afraid to talk this much also. We should talk how much we do, and we should do whatever we are talked. Then, how to talk? How do we use these powerful tools which have become very cheap today? Social media doesn't cost much. We have to learn how to communicate properly, communicate stories. We orchestrate impact through a story. Just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean that it can't be done. We should learn how to communicate. If you don't communicate, you will slowly disappear. Because today's world is all about narratives, about creating positive narratives. Social change is also a narrative. I'm not saying you should lie, never do that. But at least tell the world what you're doing. Tell your donors what they want to hear. Tell government what they want to hear. Tell your communities what they want to hear. It's a different story for each person. We have another problem. One story we put, we say, we've done everything. No. A 20-year-old wants some other story. The story she may want is how to attract her to join your organization. Make her feel good, goody-goody. A 40-year-old writing the check wants some other story. How is his money getting spent efficiently? The income tax officer wants a third story. How you are following all the rules and still you're charitable. So how do you tell the story depends on whom are you telling the story to. And these are professional training programs. I was looking at the agenda of the 2-3 days. And it is so nicely thought about. All experts are coming and sharing information. So that is because we need that expertise. It is not because Atma needs them. All of us need it. Every subject that has been shared with you is an important subject. We have to become experts. There's no choice. Today, Google and ChatGPT are very powerful tools. Don't believe everything ChatGPT says. It hallucinates. The problem of hallucination is therefore all algorithm-based work. But the more we use and correct it, the more it will start telling the truth. But we need a human interface to verify. Use it. But let's not run away from using it. So we have to use all these tools available today, and I'm sure we can work very well. Now finally I want to say, our biggest problem is finding continuous, consistent, credible funding. Somebody gives you money today, next year they don't give you. But you cannot stop working. You cannot tell your child in the Gurukulam, Ramchandran cannot go tell them that, last year I had money, I took care of you, now I have no money, go back home. We cannot. We don't do that. Civil society organizations, we are committed, we'll never do that. So somehow we have to beg, borrow, still take care of the child. So we don't have consistent support. And we will not take money from anybody. At least my organization, we don't take money from tobacco industry, from alcohol industry, we have from gambling industry, we have our own standards. Each of you will have your standards. Now, we want credible funding also. And we want continuous funding till social impact happens. Social impact is generational. It is not like corporates 3 months bottom lines. Every 3 months give a report. We can give a report. But change will not happen in 3 months. Change will begin measurably visible after a few years and actually very evident after a generation. But we need funding. social stock exchange is a solution for all the challenges I said. By registering, your credibility is growing. By making sure governance and management is kept separate, you're telling the world your story. By reporting, you're subjecting yourself to high standards. Assessors are trained by SEBI at NISM. Already 5,000 people have been trained. They have to work through organizations which are credible. You know, today you take large grants from a corporate entity, they'll send some 22-year-old working in PwC or BCG. That fellow will come and tell you what is social change. That kid has never seen a village. But he'll come and tell, nahi, aisa nahi karna chahiye, because he doesn't know. But that we have solved. We have trained 5,000 people and it's increasing. One of Atma's people themselves has been trained. Parvati has been trained. So, because she'll be a better social assessor because she understands societal work, everything. They cannot do it on their own. They have to do it through one of the SROs that we have listed. And they will take care of it. So you put the disclosures, you tell what is social change, you tell us how much money you need. They may need 1,000 rupees to educate a child, they may need only 600 rupees. That is okay. You raise your bond based on how much you need. I will decide whom to support. I may support them, I may support them. It's my choice. Democratizing funding. Today, India's mutual fund sector is one of the world's largest. Tier 2, Tier 3 cities are investing in mutual fund. India's corporate economy is growing because of small-time investors, not the big ones, not institutional investors. Similarly, charity today should come from small-time donations, retail donations. Big investors will give us. We need that also. But we have to democratize giving because there is wealth in this country. That wealth is not tapped. Social stock exchange is a platform to tap that wealth in a systematic, credible way, which will enable you to function continuously and consistently, deliver social outcomes, and also brings in transparency. It increases trust. People will trust you more because SEBI is a very credible regulator. How many of you went to the Darpan site 2 years ago and you're seeing it now? It is much better. And we are making it much more better now. It will get all data that any government agency wants. We want to make it like DigiLocker for NGOs so that any government wants anything, they can take it from that. Why should they keep asking you? So we are trying, it will all happen soon. Niti Aayog is working on it. And soon, even social stock exchange registration information, lot of it will take from Darpan site directly. You can populate it yourself. So, lot of things, government also wants to make it better and better. It is increasingly becoming more proactive with technology. So any ideas, any suggestions you get, please write to Niti Aayog, the Darpan program officer in charge. Any problems, any issues, don't let them get away with not delivering results. The government also is paid from all of you only. Public resources are not just for civil society. Public resources for government also. Taxes is what keeps government working. So you're all paying for it. It's a great question, Tanu. If you look at a lot of articles of mine, India's biggest challenge is we have not defined the social enterprise. We have not even defined a not-for-profit entity because we register under different laws. You can go to as a trust. Bombay Trust Act is different, Tamil Nadu is different. You can register as a Yuva Mandal. You can register as a university as a not-for-profit. You can register as a under Societies Act. So we have not unified it. So we had a challenge, but we have to define it. So social enterprise is not defined based on whether you make a profit or not make a profit. At the same time, you must draw a cut-off line. So for India and for the social stock exchange, in the social stock exchange at SEBI, we have defined it as you should demonstrate 67% of your work, 2/3 of your work, in terms of revenues, in terms of expenditure, in terms of population served, in the range of activities given under the CSR Act in the Section 7, whatever we had put it, 17 activities we have listed. It could be in aspiration block, aspiration districts, priority areas of Government of India, and bring about measurable social change. 67% demonstration, 33% we don't care. For a for-profit entity, it can be a social enterprise. That is why the social stock exchange allows both. Because we don't go by profit or not for profit. We go by the social measurabilities of the outcome of your work should be in these parameters more than 67%. We have defined reporting standards. We have defined the reports. It's available on the SEBI website. You can download and you have to meet those standards. There are two processes in social stock exchange. First process is registering. What Atma Foundation has done is they only entered the stock exchange. Now, after registering within 2 years, because the purpose is to raise money, purpose is not simply to get registered, right? After registering, if you don't list the bond and raise capital, we'll remove you from the exchange. Since registered, only 10 have listed. But what we are telling them is they are registering, saying that they go to a donor, say we are very good organization. How do you say you are good? I have registered on social stock exchange. That is not why we exist. We are now saying within 2 years of registration, if you don't list a product, we'll remove you. We'll deregister. That's the problem with NGOs. We have to also find ways to take care of it. What is listing? You list a bond. You can raise, an individual contributor needs to contribute a minimum of 10,000 rupees. You will have to raise a minimum of 50 lakhs. You should have been, to register, you should have been an organization at least 3 years old. Your average revenue expenditure in those 3 years or revenue in those 3 years should be at least 50 lakhs. Why we have said that? You can't be a fly-by-night operator. You can't come to abuse the system. We should know your credibility, your ability to absorb money that you are raising. It's not simply, I'm registering. You should have the capacity to use the money. So 3-year existence, you should have ATG. You should be legally statutory organization. You should have ATG. Why we are asking for 12A and ATG? Because income tax does a lot of checking. We don't want to waste time in checking you. If they have given you a certificate, they have checked you. And we will accept it. You should not have anything adverse declared against you by IT department. You might have an assessment ongoing. Assessment means you'll only tell us you're getting assessed. And if they make an adverse comment tomorrow or if they file a criminal charge, then we'll deregister. It's unlikely to happen to good organizations, but that's to safeguard the credibility of the exchange. After you register, you list. You list a product called zero coupon, zero principal bond. The minimum bond size is 10,000. The minimum amount should be 50 lakhs. And anybody can invest. You go to Zerodha website, you can click a button, it will get invested. So it's very fast. It was difficult, we made it easy. You will get a bond which cannot be sold. You will, the investor will not get interest. The zero coupon, they don't get an interest. They don't get the principal back. You get the money in advance. You must raise at least 75% of the money that you are declaring, like a professional exchange. You give prospectus. In the prospectus, you will put, I want to educate, let's say, girl children. A cost of educating a girl children is 10,000 rupees. I'm just giving some amount. Every bond will educate one child. So I'm going to raise 50 lakhs. That many children I will educate. 3 months, this is my disclosure. 6 months later, this will be the social change. 1 year later, this will be the social change. 2 years later, this will be the social change. You can have a long-term project, what we call shelf project. But if you want CSR, now your investor will get ATG. Earlier they were not getting. Now government has agreed that any investment of buying a zero coupon, zero principal bond in social stock exchange will enable the investor to take a tax exemption. The government is seriously considering opening up CSR for investment. Right now CSR is not permitted to invest on social stock exchange. Even if government permits 10% of the 2%, that means 2,600 crores will come into the exchange. We can't handle it. We don't have organizations. Until now, we have 120 registrations. We have 10 listings. Totally, they have raised 22 crores. The next listing, which is just going to get announced tomorrow, day after, is for 15 crores themselves. It's the largest listing. So the trend is going up like this. We don't have a course right now. I used to run a Mysore University accredited course called Masters in Non-Profit Management. That was the only course in India at that time. Then we called it Masters in Development Management. For 10 years I ran that course very successfully. A lot of students came out, they're all employed all over the country. Some of them have done PhDs, but I closed down the course because I had to fight with UGC. UGC asked me to change the name to MBA. I refused to change and closed the course down. I said it is development sector. So lot of organizations are running non-degree granting courses. Like tomorrow's Ravi is coming, ISDM runs, then ISPP runs. A lot of organizations are doing training, running courses, etc. Many of them run fellowships like Seva runs. They train them, they teach them, and then they send them to NGOs to get hands-on training. So that's an opportunity. But today you don't need anything. You just go to Google. The Google University will give you everything. All you need is skills, not degrees, not certificates. If you can get a skill, that is what Seva Fellowship does. It gives skills. Gandhi Fellowship is there. India Fellows are there. All these are all fellowships which give the skills. You can get it that way. There is no right or wrong, it's a personal choice. रास्ते में बहुत सारे लोग सिगरेट पी रहे हैं ना, अगर आप सिगरेट पीने वाले को देखते हैं तो आप शायद पास नहीं खड़े होंगे. You are avoiding it. So it's a personal choice. Nobody asked you to avoid it. You avoided it. Nobody asked him to smoke. He is smoking. But I believe smoking is bad for health. I am a doctor, so I will fight it. I will go fight with him. I'll say you can't smoke in public place. Put out your cigarette. You are destroying my health also. I will fight. That is why I am a social change maker. No, that is why I will not take money from somebody who is making profits from that cigarette. I believe it. I will not say you should believe it. If you believe it, don't take. Lena mat. तो मत ले लो ना. Then don't run your organization. Is your values more important or is your funding more important? मेरे लिए तो मेरा values बहुत अमूल्य है. उसको त्याग मैं नहीं करूँगा मैं. अगर उसको त्याग करना है तो पैसे के लिए करूँगा क्या? नहीं, मैं तो नहीं करूँगा. अगर आप comfortable है तो कीजिए. So there's no conflict. Why are you in conflict? Because our convictions don't control our lives. Convenience controls our lives. The day convictions control our lives, you'll have no conflict. I am very clear. I'll shut down my organization. I have no problems. But I will not compromise my values. If the choice between compromise and conviction, I will say I'll suffer. I went to jail because I refused to compromise with government. I'm okay. That's the kind of spirit you must have. अगर देश को स्वातंत्र्य मिलना चाहिए था तो कोई लोग, बहुत सारे लोग त्याग भी करना चाहिए था ना. त्याग करने के लिए रेडी होना चाहिए, लेकिन स्वातंत्र्य चाहिए लेकिन त्याग नहीं करेंगे तो कैसे हो सकता है? We should continue with the course. So we are seriously exploring if degrees don't matter, why should we run a course to give the skills? So we are now saying students who believe only skills are important and course title or qualification is not important, we are launching from April Viveka Fellows. Because it's Vivekananda Youth Movement, we call them Viveka Fellows. 3 months they will have to study in our campus, rigorous study. They will not be paid. That shows their interest to study. 4th month onwards we pay them for the next 9 months. So we teach them everything they can learn in 1 year, but we don't give a degree, we give a fellowship certificate. Finally, what knowledge is important. And if they believe that, they can apply. So I think I've had a wonderful time. Thank you all so much. It's always when you're working in government, it's now 3.5 years since I joined the government, and I've had the extraordinary privilege of working in a commission that reports directly to the Honorable Prime Minister. So working with somebody like that, watching him work, watching his passion for this nation, where no holidays, nothing, no holidays for him means no holidays for us also. But the change that India has seen, the next 10 years, we will be the country where everybody wants to come. And that is a country we leave behind for all younger people here. And sometimes you feel frustrated in government that they are not going as fast as what we could do in civil society organizations. But that is government, it has got its own way of working. And it's my privilege that we are fashioning change in 40 million civil servants across the country. 15 states are working with us. Kerala is also, I just had a conversation with your chief secretary. And if they also want to join this change, transformation of civil service revolution, they'll also join, and then it will be easy to bring about change here also. But our intent is building a great country. And so Vikasit Bharat cannot be a slogan, cannot be a vision, cannot be a dream. It has to be a lived reality for citizens of this country. And each one of you in the social sector are as critical, because Prime Minister keeps saying we need Team India for a new India. And Team India is not just government India, it is every one of us. So it's a great opportunity, and for people like me, I get recharged when I meet fellow colleagues from the civil society sector. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Suresh, for inviting me here. It is a great privilege. Namaste.